Hey everybody. You joined me driving to some back roads 'cause I was just kind of wanting to do a little drive and chat. I haven't done one of those in a little bit. Uh, should be really nice weather and hopefully we'll catch a nice sunset on the way. Um, as far as the topic, I've got a few things on my mind that I wouldn't mind chatting about, if you'll indulge me. The Well, first of all, I think I'm going to hit 3,000 miles on my car during this drive if I've done the math correctly. So either way, I'll be really close if not. So one of the things I wanted to do was talk about my sort of 3,000 mile impression since those are so hot right now. I saw a few other people doing theirs. I don't know if that's like some milestone that I wasn't aware of, but that's what seems to be the flavor of the month. So I'm going to do my 3,000 mile impressions of the car. I also wanted to talk about just content creation, and since it's sort of a new thing to me personally, um, how I view it and how, the way I'm using it sort of as a creative outlet, how I view the relationship between the audience and the creator, and some of those topics are kind of floating around my head because it's sort of a whole new world to me, to be honest. And you could probably tell based on some of the way that I create videos, and hopefully things have shown improvement over the last month or so. I think I've maybe been doing it just over a month now, and obviously from when I first started to now, I've learned a lot and changed some of the things that I've been doing, and just overall, like it's been fun to get to sort of experience a new hobby. And I guess just go ahead and lead into that topic of conversation, since I'm yapping about it already. As far as content is concerned, I originally started this channel sort of as a way of sharing this car with the community. This is a vehicle that I've been lucky enough to get fairly early in the grand scheme of things. I mean, my VIN is 1477. So if you want to view it strictly from a VIN perspective, I have one of the first 1,500 cars produced. And obviously some of the first few went to employees. So you could probably argue like maybe one of the first, let's say 1 or 2,000 people in the United States that got, as a customer, got access to this car, which is really kind of mind blowing to think about considering how many people are in the United States. So, a part of me felt some sort of responsibility to like share an honest ownership experience with everyone, and that's kind of the goal here, is just to not sensationalize things, not misrepresent what's going on. Like I'm a return Rivian buyer, so I do like the products and like the company, but I have no obligation to them. I don't. My job is not based on Rivian. I don't make like a significant amount of money. I am monetized now on YouTube, and I appreciate everyone for helping me reach that goal. But I mean, we're talking beer money basically. Like it's not enough to obligate me in any way to represent a product one way or another. That's kind of the point I'm trying to make. Um, so, I have this opportunity to essentially give people information that may not be out there in the marketplace. And now, as more people are getting their cars, it certainly exists. Definitely more than when I first started making videos. And I appreciate that there was maybe where a month ago there was a gap in the marketplace for R2 videos, and now that gap is sort of being filled along as we go. I still feel like as time goes on, there's plenty of demand that will come for content like that. And these vehicles are ever changing. So we have software updates, we have autonomy updates, and that's really the thing that excites me, is just the ongoing improvement and the change that we can show over time. And that's kind of where I think my content will drift toward over time, is just like showcasing the new updates and the new behaviors. And I really enjoy doing these hands-free drives, which, as I say that, I wasn't in hands-free, but this area is kind of construction heavy anyway, so I was trying to get through it. But anyway, so content. I want this to be like an unbiased, sort of an honest type approach to the vehicle that I am enjoying thoroughly. I've received a lot of comments, and I know some of my early videos, like, I had issues, so naturally there maybe was a negative skew toward those. And I don't want to say like I regret that. I mean, I regret having issues, certainly, but I regret that a lot of people's first introduction to the vehicle was maybe they pulled up one of my videos where I was sad that my car had just gone in service, and I was bummed out about how my early experience went. If that's their first encounter with the R2 and then they left a bad taste in their mouth, that sucks. But also, I mean, that happens. I mean, that's kind of the way information spreads these days. And you've got, as a company, sometimes you have one chance to make an impression with customers. And so if that was the, sorry, a little phantom braking there. If that was the impression that people got about the R2, then that's the way it is. So it's kind of crazy to think about, like, my experience can impact 10, 20, 30, 100 plus people potentially, just because I shared it online. I mean, that's still kind of a foreign concept to me, just because I've never really been an online person. I've never been a public person previously in my life. So it's kind of fun to see the other side of that. I'll talk for a second creatively. I want to make sure everyone knows, like, I'm doing this hobby as a way to sort of express myself in a way that I have not done most of my life, right? So I've never really been like a creative or artistic person, and you could watch these videos and say, well, there's not really much art going on here. Guy just puts his camera in his car and drives. Well, that's sure, you could certainly say that, but just like the process for me of getting raw footage, making editorial decisions, like what to cut, what to leave in, when to cut, adjusting audio volume, just voiceovers, that whole thing is just completely new to me. And so that is scratching a new itch for my brain that I previously hadn't really been able to. So that's kind of the main thing that I'm enjoying, is just this new hobby. And I do want to say, I don't fault anyone for using AI or anything like that, but you can definitely guarantee that I'm not going to be using it in any of my stuff, just because I feel like it takes out some of that creative process for me personally. If you could make the argument well, if you turn something like this into a business, you need to gain efficiencies and get some of your time back. And I could see people using it for that. I see a lot of AI thumbnails now. I don't do any of that. It's just to me, it shortcuts the creative process a little bit. And I'm not faulting anyone who does it. It's your creation, it's your video, it's your business. You do what you want to do. I'm just telling you, for me, this is how I want to do it. I want it to be sort of a human thing. I don't know if that resonates with everybody. That's just how I feel about it. So I wanted to get that out there. Let's see what else. But yeah, I mean, community. So, as far as comments and people asking questions. I really am trying my best to engage with everyone. It is sometimes a little bit overwhelming, especially just with the notifications and things. I've had to turn notifications off, so that has potentially led to me missing certain comments, or they're slipping by. I'm still working on ways to balance, like being responsive to people, but also keeping some of my own peace. Like, I don't need 24/7 push notifications from YouTube, right? So I appreciate everyone for bearing with me on some of that stuff. And I know a lot of people like don't comment with the expectation that they're going to get a response, but I still like to do it. I mean, it's fun to engage with people that are kind of interested in the same thing that I am, like in this case the R2, or EVs in general, things like that. So okay, I think that's everything that I wanted to touch on for the like content creation part of this little talk. And this is all sort of off the cuff here. That I didn't have any like scripted stuff here. These are just some things I've been thinking about. Yes. So part 2, let's round it up and say 3,000 miles, because it is going to be 3,000 miles by the time I'm done driving tonight. And I'm not driving that far. I'm at like 2950 right now. So, we're gonna get there. Anyway, I'm trying to think. The last time I did an update was my 1 week review, which, I mean, a lot's happened since 1 week, let me tell you. If you haven't seen the other videos. So, yeah, I mean, the car sort of, I feel like maybe I'm taking like a reverse path that some other people are taking. There's been some people recently with issues. Like, I saw Jose from Rivian Tracker. His compressor recently went out, which is a huge bummer, especially living in Florida. So, he's getting that fixed. I've just seen, other personalities, I'll say, on YouTube taking delivery, and they've got little things here and there, just little stuff, right? For me, the car actually has only really gotten better since I had it initially and had my first batch of issues. And of course, most of my issues did turn out to be software based, which, obviously there's been a few releases since early on, so that has helped. But, my physical issues, like the window replacement and some of the rattles and some of those things, they've actually like basically gone away. My rattle was here and it was gone, and it was here and it was gone, and now it seems like the car is finally like settled on it being gone. And I'll say that, and like it'll be back tomorrow probably, but I mean, it's been maybe 4 or 5 days now and it's been gone, so that's exciting. Like, the car feels more solid when it doesn't rattle. It feels well put together. You just want everything to be kind of on that like really quiet and solid feeling side, aside from, you want to hear some things. Like, I want to hear the motors spool up and hear some of those cool noises. I want to hear the tires chirp a little bit. Some of those things are fun, but they don't cheapen the car, whereas like a piece of trim or plastic like rattling sort of makes you feel like the car is not as well made as it should be. So I'm glad those things are gone. The software I've been harping on this a lot, and I will continue to harp on it, really, because it is as a software-defined vehicle, it is a very important part of the experience, the ownership experience, and the driving experience, and all the, just the user experience in general. So, as I encounter bugs, I'm going to bring them up, I'm going to report them, I'm going to do all the things that are expected of me as an early adopter and an owner. I'm going to try to make sure the product gets better for future owners by those things, by my actions and dealing with those. Have I encountered a lot of bugs? Sure. Are any of them like deal breakers? No, definitely not. And I know that they will get addressed and they will get fixed. They probably honestly are already addressed in some branch somewhere that we just haven't been pushed as the general public. And that's the thing, like there's the development time, there's certainly a lag, and especially with something like a car where they have to do so much testing and validation before they push releases. I mean, there's a good chance that like most of the stuff that everyone's griping about right now has been addressed. It just will be maybe a month or two before it makes it wide release. So I'm kind of also aware of that. But, I'm not going to not mention things that I encounter. Let me just say that. Let's see. Driving dynamics. I mean, the car just is super fun to drive. The power delivery, the handling, and hopefully some of these roads that I'm going to will give me a chance to, throw it in sport mode and just zip through some twisties. But they really that's the part of this car that it has no business driving like it does as a 5,000 pound, basically family SUV, mid-size SUV. So, if you haven't driven one of these, I highly recommend doing that. I do think that if you are someone who enjoys cars and you drive this, you will probably want to get one if you have the means to do so. And if you don't have the means to do so, I don't recommend driving one, because then you're just going to be sad and probably obsess over it a little bit. But anyway, the design, the styling, I mean, this is a car that you catch yourself looking at when you're parking in the parking lot of a grocery store, when you go to pick up Chipotle, like anywhere you're parking, you're going to turn around and it's just going to stand out amongst all the other vehicles that you are near, at least to me. I mean, it's got a uniqueness to it that you don't really see these days with a lot of the mainstream cars, but yet it's unique, but it doesn't attack your senses in any way, if that makes sense. Like it's an inviting car. The front end kind of makes sure of that. It's got retro aesthetic, but then there's obviously futuristic elements, and the shape is overall, you can tell it's a newer car and one that is modern. So I just really like the design, and that's probably one thing that Rivian does better than, I'll say, anyone else, including Tesla. I think Rivian has a design language and a cohesion with their software, with their marketing, with the way their cars look. It's just, that's probably their biggest strength, is design. And they're a design first company. And I think it just blows me away how far they've come in the 3 or 4 years I've been following them. But they're just getting better. So I can't wait to see what R3, R3X, some of those designs come out as, how the software continues to improve from a UX and UI perspective. It's beautiful software. They focus a lot on how it interacts with you as a driver and how it feels, how it looks. Some of those aspects of it where, something like Tesla is basically let's just throw all the data we can on the screen. And obviously that approach resonates with a ton of people. And I don't want to, say that that's the wrong approach. I think it works super well. But then I kind of get in this car and I just feel a little bit lighter, and it's a little more friendly and more approachable. And I really appreciate that about Rivian, and how they include that kind of ethos and everything. So I wanted to mention that for sure. Let's see what else we have here. Yeah, I mean, efficiency. I will touch on this. I know as the range tests and the driving data started to come out about this car, there was certainly some initial disappointment because the EPA numbers are clearly not aligned with reality. And, well, let me restate that. They're not aligned with how everyone is driving the car, basically. It's just underachieving, the EPA. Now, that's unfortunate. But does that make the car somehow worse for me? No. I mean, I would certainly prefer it to be more efficient. But it's going to work great for what I want it for. Road trips, I'm stopping every 180 to 200 miles anyway, so I really enjoy driving further than that at a time. It's not pleasant. I like to make bathroom stops. I like to stretch my legs. I like to walk around. Really just take my time. I know, not everyone is like that. They just want to get off the road as fast as possible, and that's certainly your right to do so. But that's not how I road trip. I'm just a kind of a laid-back road tripper personally. So this car works well for that. Let's see. Charging, I am very happy with the 400 volt charging on this thing. It's really like the curve is fantastic. It can hold 150 basically till 60%. I think it maybe is 58%. Close to 200 on a Tesla supercharger till like 38% or something. I'm going to turn up here. Close to 220, 230 on a 600 amp like Iona type charger. I mean, that's great. I think they squeeze every bit they could out of this for a 400 volt architecture, and I don't think charging will ever be a concern for me on a road trip. The thermals seem really good. I've not been car limited a single time to this point. Now, of course, I'm not in Death Valley or anything, but as far as where I'm going to drive the car most, it seems pretty solid. Let's see, what else do we have to talk about here? Sorry, I'm going to pause to think about where I'm turning here. I guess it's just at this red light. This is like a small town USA out here. Trying to get to these back roads. But yeah, I mean, ever since my initial sort of, I'll say, batch of issues, the car has been pretty much flawless for me. Every now and then you hear like a noise and you're like, oh, what's that? But then it hasn't happened enough for me to put a service ticket in or anything. And I'm just probably more sensitive to any issues that might pop up just because I know it's an early VIN. So I'm like, well, what's going to happen? But two, I'm just, kind of paying attention anyway, right? So that's where I'm coming from on some of that. I think the car hasn't done anything to make me concerned. Maybe I'm just a little neurotic in that sense. Going a little fast here. But these are beautiful country roads back here. Doing some hands-free on the back roads. And we'll probably get some even more narrow and windy roads here we can try hands-free on. I think what I'll do is I'll do hands-free on the way like there, and then whenever I turn around, I'll just rip it and do whatever I want on the way back, if that works for everybody. It has to, because you're kind of a captive audience, right? It'd be nice if the sun was a little lower, but work with what we got. It's kind of a good test for hands-free. If the sun is shining directly at the camera, how does it behave? Wow, this is a spooky hill and you have no visibility over, but we made it. That was creepy. It's like a roller coaster when you're going up to the very top. Beautiful farmland out here. I haven't driven out this way in quite some time, but it's looking really nice. And so far, hands-free's been doing just fine on these narrow little roads here. Oh, I will mention, a friend of mine has a Juniper Model Y kind of on loan from someone, and took me out in FSD. Oh, there was a little phantom braking there. I don't know if that came through on the video. It wasn't bad. Took me out on a little FSD test drive, and FSD is crazy good now. I kind of knew it was, but I hadn't experienced it. And when you experience it, it's just a different story, you know, from seeing it posted online. Like when you're actually in the car and the car is making these decisions and driving you, it's just crazy. So, you know, I hope Rivian can get somewhere close with point-to-point. And I don't think their first point-to-point release is going to be anywhere close to current FSD. I don't think that that's the expectation. But what's important is that they kind of establish their framework. They show that they are capable of making quick improvements. And we're going to stop because that is a stop sign. And they show that, you know, it's not going to be 6 months to a year before they release new builds. It's going to be like once we get point-to-point out there, we're going to rapidly iterate on it and show everyone that we are capable of competing. And that's kind of the hope that I have, you know, as a Rivian owner. Of course, my wife drives a Tesla. We've talked about getting her a Juniper just to so she can use FSD, because she was pretty impressed also. And it would really alleviate a lot of her driving. She drives a lot more than I do. It would alleviate some of her driving related stress. So, oh yeah, I'm doing hands-free on this stretch and then not back. Okay. So yeah, that's kind of where we're coming from. Wow, this is a 50. Wow, okay. That's where we're coming from with the FSD versus point-to-point thing. I just want there to be options in the marketplace, as everyone does, really. Competition makes everyone better. And these roads in the fields are just so pretty. I'm glad that actually the same friend that drove me in the FSD suggested this route out here and did not disappoint. Hopefully you can see the sort of the rolling hills with the cows on them, and the sun just sort of peeking over the trees. I can't really tell if it's coming through in the video or not, but we'll find out later. But yeah, I mean, there are certainly aspects of universal hands-free that make me think that Rivian is capable of a point-to-point type system. And then there are other behaviors that feel like, this thing is still not even close, right? So there's like good moments and bad moments. And right now it's kind of interesting. It's doing really slow around these blind curves. It's doing some nice slowing behavior, so that's cool. And this person is in my lane and it's slowing down naturally. Okay, that wasn't bad. Maybe a little aggressive on the slowing, but he was in my lane, so I can appreciate that that was a safety precaution. It is shocking that these roads are 50-mile-an-hour speed limit with all these blind drives and stuff. But man, it's really cool. Beautiful trees out here, just really nice hills. A little slowing for the curves and everything. I'm not upset about that. These curves certainly don't feel like 50-mile-an-hour curves. And this is a well-marked road. It's just got no shoulder, so hands-free is doing well. That was a little hard braking, I think, because the car kind of flirted with the yellow line. But I'm not gonna complain too much because it's, if a car is crossing the line, like, you really do need to respond to that. So it wasn't too bad. And I am turning up here, so I'm gonna take this off and turn here. Oh, it'll be interesting to see if it even lets me engage it on this road. I think it should once we get to these markers. No hands-free icon yet. I mean, this curve is crazy, so that's probably why. But if it doesn't let me do hands-free, I won't be too mad about it because yeah, this is a great road to just like drive. So that's what we're gonna do. Oh yeah, it opens to this really nice clearing. Wow, this is cool. Really cool. Let's see if the all-terrains have any sort of grip limitations that I should be aware of once I can actually see. Wow, this is beautiful. This car just feels so firm and planted when you're in sport mode, and just feels like you could take these corners going way faster than you ever need to. And then obviously it's got insane power out of the corner and just kind of hits you and puts you back in your seat. Wow, this road is something. Really cool. I think might have my turnaround point up here. It'd be fun to do that same stretch uphill and not driving into the sun. Let me see. This is actually a great little turnaround. Make sure no one's coming and just flip a U-ey here. And off we go. Ooh! This thing's crazy. I hope the motor noise comes through on the video. It really just adds to the experience quite a bit. It's just, sorry, I'm trying to focus here, and the car just is so confidence inspiring, especially when you are driving pretty briskly and then you get on the accelerator. It gives that little rear end nudge where that's the exact characteristic you want out of a rear wheel drive bias car, is like get you that little extra bit out of the corner to rotate the rear end just enough to point your front end where you want. It just feels perfect. They tuned this thing so perfectly. I'm trying to be a little careful because there is some loose gravel here. I don't want to hit any patches I don't can't handle, but the car itself is just handling everything exactly the way I want it to. Man, and we're already back at the... Wow, that went so fast. Alright, we'll get a little more hands-free time on these back roads. I had my fun on that little stretch there. That's a really nice road to just... really low traffic too. So let's see how we are back on the more civilized back roads where we just kind of cruise at around 50. Of course, there's some curves that I anticipate the car will slow down and not want to attempt at 50, and that's perfectly fine. We want to value safety over everything else. Check my... Oh yeah, well, good, we're still recording. I always briefly panic thinking that for some reason if it's not on my watch then it's like we stopped the video, but it's actually just my watch timed out or whatever, and that's fine. Oh, this is such a pretty stretch where the trees sort of surround you on either side. I hope everyone has like a stretch of road that they can find that they enjoy driving on. You just kind of go and hang out and waste time. It's not a waste if you're enjoying it, but just driving to drive feels a little, less like a waste if you're getting really good efficiency or not burning, at 10 miles to the gallon or whatever. So like you can rip this thing and it's still getting 50 miles to the gallon. And we're slowing down quite a bit through these little curves here. Not sure what it thinks, maybe just blind corners, but it's not like a sharp curve. Anyway, just nitpicking really. This is hands-free. It actually does pretty well on some of these back roads that are well marked, especially during the daytime. Feels fine. Can even speed up a little bit. I guess I might as well go back to all-purpose. Not that it really matters in hands-free, but if I can keep it from using all four wheels, then might as well. Oof. Oh man, it took that at 50 and it was fine, but I was more thinking it should have slowed down for that. But you know, I'm still kind of learning when it decides to slow down versus when it takes things at a normal at the set speed, I mean. But yeah, I think we're probably just gonna head back the same way we came. You know, just wanted to have a little chat and drive on some cool back roads, show some pretty scenery, some cool farmland. It seems like it's kind of horse country, so there's a lot of horse money around here. I don't have horse money yet. Maybe one day. Not really into horses though, so it wouldn't be horse money. It would just be money. But you get the idea. But yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and sign off here. Thanks for watching, everybody, and make sure to like and subscribe. You know, I'm gonna definitely post some more videos coming up here soon. I've got some fun ideas around the next couple videos, so stay tuned for that. Appreciate everybody commenting and hope to talk to you soon. See ya.